Bring in career trial attorney Wendy Patrick and Fox News contributor and former FBI special agent Nicole Parker. Thank you both for coming on. I want to play some sound for you, Wendy. This is Josh Ritter, who's been out there. He's one of our contributors. He's been out on the scene, and he's talking about the investigation, the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie, and how careful the investigators need to be. Watch.
Whatever they're doing, they have to proceed cautiously, as much as this remains an urgent investigation. In other words, no one has given up hope that they're trying to recover Nancy Guthrie alive. But they have to make sure that they're doing everything legally along the way, so that in the potential that this ends up at a trial down the road, that this stuff doesn't get kicked out.
Yeah, I mean, what he's saying is, look, they're still up against the clock there, but they got to make sure they dot the I's and cross the T's.
Amen. You know, time is of the essence, but slow and steady wins the race when you're investigating a criminal abduction, as we're looking at here. And, you know, we can use detectives, dogs, and drones. At the end of the day, many of these kinds of cases are solved by good old-fashioned police work and people coming forward because someone knows who did it. And when you pair that with all of the work that's being done in that area to investigate a crime done on the cover of darkness, you were there last week. You saw how dark it is.
Yep.
Jonathan knows how dark it is. By the way, he's asking all the right questions of the sheriff. And I agree. We can only hope that behind the scenes, there is more we don't know about that's going to lead us to solve this sooner rather than later.
Yeah, Nicole, to you, because Nancy Grace was on Sean Hannity's show tonight, and she was talking about the fact that she believes that there was an accomplice. She said the following here.
A lot is being made tonight of the theory of an accomplice, and I believe that there is an accomplice. In every case I have ever investigated or prosecuted, which so many, I cannot count them. Once you involve more than one person, the plan will fall apart. It could be a mother, a sister, a girlfriend, a wife, a neighbor. Somebody will notice something.
Yeah, so far, no way, though, Nicole. This case has done everything but fall apart.
Well, I agree with Nancy Grace. I do think that it's highly probable that there was an accomplice involved, this type of sophistication. You know, everyone's talking about originally saying, you know, this abductor wasn't really that sophisticated. Well, they're sophisticated enough that we're 3 weeks into this investigation and we still have no sign of where Nancy Guthrie is. But again, let's hope that law enforcement behind the scenes knows a lot more than the general public does. That was something that I commonly saw working in the FBI, is that the public knows a certain set of information. Law enforcement keeps other information, you know, tight to the chest. But this is a case where someone does know who did this. And if you see something, say something and step forward. This is a time for someone to come forward and say, you know what, this family member has been acting off, or this person, I haven't seen them around. Somebody knows who did this, and that is why it's so important to call 800-CALL-FBI for any tips. They are going through these thousands of tips that are being sent in. I do want to have faith that law enforcement will solve this investigation. I do think there were many missteps in the beginning with the sheriff's decisions, but let's hope that things come through and let's bring Nancy home.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Meantime, moving on to a different subject, check out this DHS headline. It says, DHS says 8% of Nicaragua's entire population illegally entered the U.S. under Biden. I mean, the thing with this is not just 8% of the population. That's staggering enough. But, you know, you look at these aren't just, they're not sending the best of the best. They're sending criminals. They're sending people that wanted to get out of Nicaragua and come to the United States because they needed to get out of Nicaragua.
And we're learning this now. In retrospect, we talked about all the different countries. And by the way, there's also significant populations of other countries that are involved in this. But, you know, Kristi Noem is pointing out also, not only does unvetted mean, you know, that's a recipe for violence if you don't know who's coming in, but what about the humanitarian crisis that was being created at the border? When you have bad actors that are blending in with so many other, I call them the crush of crossers, they're not going to have, not only they're not going to be detected, but they're going to exploit the unaccompanied minors, the women, the children. You talk about trafficking opportunities. We forget about that, about trying to protect that going on at the border. And we could have avoided that if this wasn't happening. And it's sad we're learning now how bad it actually was in retrospect.
And then you look at a byproduct, and it happened in your state, Nicole, because this is the criminal file. Put this up on the screen. This is Alexander Hernandez Gonzalez, an illegal immigrant from Venezuela, entered the U.S. in 2023, granted temporary protected status under Biden, charged with attempted murder. And look at the description. This is in Martin County. The sheriff says this, quoting, "The suspect told officers he was at the beach and saw a woman alone. He made statements indicating she made him angry, so he attacked her and drowned her. He stopped when he believed she was dead. When asked if he was remorseful, Hernandez Gonzalez stated he felt nothing." Now, we should note for the record, the woman, by the way, regained consciousness. He didn't know that. But, you know, you think when people say, oh, we hate ICE, they never think of cases like this and what happens if you leave these people to roam freely.
That's exactly right. And thank goodness that she is alive. It was just up north a little bit from here in Martin County. No one should be in fear of going to the beach because some illegal alien attempts to kill them. And again, thank goodness she's alive. And thank goodness for President Trump. When he says he's going to do something, he actually does it. He sealed that border shut. And that is what we need. Border security equals national security. And that is what we were lacking. And thank goodness he has come in. But unfortunately, we have to deal with the repercussions of the Biden administration and all of these millions of people that should not be here. Those that are causing violence, they need to go. And that's why ICE is doing what they're doing. And we fully support them.
Nicole Parker, Wendy Patrick, thank you both.